Team Cyprian, Team Morara, once again, welcome to our channel. I'm super excited the support you've been giving me despite mimi kutokuwa huko. I'm so humbled, guys. I'm back like we never left. Sikuwa nasikia vizuri, but finally we are back thanks to our almighty God. So today I just want to talk about something yenye ilikuwa imehappen ambapo Wakenya wameingililia Kasmuel sana baada ya kujoin ODM. Na pale mtandao jana niliweza kuona post ama pictures za Morara Kebaso ameweza kupiwa na our former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua, whereby Kenyans walikuwa wamejaa pale na comments wakisema kwamba wakati Kasmuel aliweza kujoin ODM ama wakati aliweza kusalimiana na President Ruto, watu waliweza kusema kwamba ametubetray, wakamuita hypocrite, wakamuita betrayer, wakamuita so many names, wakisema kwamba yake imeisha. So hapo jana wakati Morara Kebaso aliweza kupatana na deputy president, our former deputy president, aliweza kuposti pale kwa mtandao, na hiyo post Wakenya wengi sana walikuwa wanauliza aje wakati Kasmuel aliweza kujoin ODM. Most of you mlimuita hypocrite, mkasema yeye ni mtu ajielewi, yani mkamuita mambo mingi sana. Does it make Morara Kebaso to be good yeye wakati amejoin deputy president? Na before we saw Morara Kebaso aliweza kuenda party launching ya Honorable Mother Karua. So many people have been asking question, and I'm also asking nyinyi mafans wetu question. Do you feel like Morara Kebaso aliweza kumake mistake ya kuenda kupatana na our former deputy president, ama alimake mistake ya ambapo alipoenda pale party launching ya Mother Karua? Ama wewe mwenyewe unalichukuliaje hilo jambo? Because some Kenyans wanna feel like what Kasmuel did is the same thing Morara Kebaso has done. So personally, mimi pia naangojea your comments so that tujue what you think about this. But I just want to read something here. Morara Kebaso aliweza kuandika ndio tuelewe ni sababu gani iliweza kumfanya akaenda pale ama akaenda kupatana na Rigathi Gachagua. I met with His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua to discuss the reality of Kenyan politics and the practical steps that should be taken for meaningful reforms. We also discussed the issue of youth unemployment, economic exclusions, and human rights abuse. He shared with me his thoughts about what should be done to exact justice for victims of police brutality, abduction, and extrajudicial killings. I will continue to engage leaders from across the political, religious, and civic space in amplifying the voice of the youth in the case of change. So according to Morara aliweza kwenda pale ili aweze kushare some few yani yale mambo ambayo anaonelea kwamba yanafaa kutimizwa na our president, ama those agency ambao walikuwa wameuliwa during demonstration, wala ambao wamekuwa wakikuwa abducted. According to him, alikuwa ameenda kushare ama kuulizia Rigathi Gachagua ni mambo yapi wanaweza fanya ama ni vipi wanaweza fanya ili kusaidia the youths. Now my question is, do you think Kasmuel and Morara Kebaso, they have made the right decision? Because I saw someone asking, are you supporting Morara decision to join ama kuungana na akina Mother Karua, akina Rigathi Gachagua? It's the same question I'm asking you. Are you supporting Morara Kebaso joining Rigathi Gachagua, hizi mambo zote akina Mother, ama are you supporting Kasmuel joining ODM? Nataka maybe kuna wale ambao waliweza kukosa zile video za Kasmuel akiongea about the ODM things, and also Morara Kebaso akiongea during the launch of Honorable Mother Karua. I just want to put some videos here muweze kusikiza ili tuweze kujua wako na lengo lipi ama wako na mambo yapi ya kutuambia sisi kama Wakenya. Do they have reasons as to why they decided to join either party, because at the end of the day, najua mtu ndio ajoin mahali hapo, lazima ameketi chini akajikarisha akaona kwamba if I do this itanisaidia, if I don't do this haiwezi ikanisaidia. So wewe kama mtazamaji wa Cyprian TV ama Mkenya, ningependa kukuulizia hilo swali uweze kutujibu. Je, are you supporting them ama bado uko against them joining these people ambapo wamekuwa kwa serikali? So guys, all I can say, thank you so much. May God bless you. Now I'm back like we never left. I'll be giving you videos back to back. Let's listen to these videos.
I think, man, there are people who do not want Right Honorable Raila Odinga to win, because their politics has been consistently organized around him carrying their hands and has been organized around them leeching off his presidential campaign. Those people were there. And I thought it was rather sinister that, and you see, alcohol exposes people. It's one of those things where people now start shouting and chanting their opinions. Well, they're not shouting, but you hear it. You hear through the malaise, and you hear through the nonsense, and you see that there are people who are just actually happy that he did not win. But there was a collective, the hearts of the people in the room sunk as though this was a first time. So for me, it was rather hard because I'd seen the campaign and I was rather optimistic that we were going to win. But again, there was a solidarity. So there was the win. When we heard what had happened and people at the Radisson and hearts have sunk, but then there was a dinner which was supposed to be celebratory, but then it was anticipated to be a celebratory dinner, but then it just ended up being.
So this is the dinner where the Right Honorable Ringo was speaking, Ruto was speaking.
And Akina Msalia and the High Commissioner and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I remember people being in the room and nobody knew. It was rather tense because some people are saying that what were broad-based wametuosha. And some other people are just like, okay, so now what's going to happen? And everyone's asking, so what's going to happen when we touch down in Nairobi? So what's the direction? And I think they navigated the tension quite well because they come in and they're in rather well-measured spirits, and they sit down, and the speeches are the thing which I feel cut through the tension in the room, because everybody was just waiting for the speech of the president and the former prime minister. Because all these other people, from the crowd, we just thought were noisemakers, trying to all the platitudes. No, keep them to yourself. And the president and Right Honorable Raila Odinga stands up and he says, "Good evening. I was not prepared to make this speech." And you could just see everyone was. However, I would like to end. I was just. Everybody sat down, and he goes ahead and thanks everybody who was in the campaign, and tells us, man, he knows there are people who came by bus. He knows there are people, yes, and he knows there are people who came here who borrowed money, who copied. And you see there are people who were trying to like float an opulence type thing. I know, like for example, assemblies were given 3 slots. Yeah, so out of your whatever assembly, Nairobi, 3 slots for travel, 3 slots for this one, whatever. But then he thanks everybody, and he's very careful meticulous about the factions. And then he gets to the president, and he says that I know that there are people who will say that I failed because President Ruto did not want me to win. He wanted me to be embarrassed. He even acknowledges and says, because some people think I'm too old and tired. And it's the first time I hear him in public approaching us as fully human, and he didn't give a damn about what anyone thought. Because, for the longest time, we've pedestalized the man.
Yes.
And when he comes, it's jogi. And we give them this enigmatic aura. And that evening, he was at that dinner as a human.
A human being.
Yes. Yeah. And that cuts through the entire, the tension. And, President Ruto is a really powerful orator. And he goes in and navigates the thing. And then suddenly there was a sadness, and the hearts were low and whatnot. But I saw for the first time people not even trying to talk about their political divides. It was the first time I saw all these people who do not agree somehow and are always at each other's necks, just thinking about Kenya. And I wish more of us could do that, because the political class seems to have figured that out, that we could disagree politically, but sometimes we can set aside our individual opinions.
That's why it was very interesting that a lot of people from Mount Kenya were in a celebratory mood, and yet their king, quote unquote, was congratulating the president. But then the last question is, now that Raila is back, what happens now? You've thought about it.
I think he will give further direction, because you see now it's a.
No. I'm not talking about what he's gonna do. I'm asking you what you think.
There are people who've had some reprieve, because their politics, as I've said, has been organized around leeching off of Mr. Odinga. But I hope that he comes back more selfish. As a stricter man.
You agree?
I just hope that he does not come back and dishes out his time to people who are not doing anything to contribute to his legacy, because everyone just uses his name to spew all sorts of nonsense. I hope that he just says that he's only deal with the people who now just further the interests of his legacy. And because nowadays you hear, and there's a time we sat down here and people said, is ODM split into two? You have people singing this song and other people singing this song, and from ideology, I just hope that when Mzee comes back, he just figures out, what does my legacy look like, and who are the people who are going to align. If ODM is the legacy, can it go back? Because you see, it turns 20 this year. Can it go back to its basics? Can we try and see, can it go back to what the initial vision was? I hope he comes back with clarity.
Wakenya hamjambo. Mimi nataka niwaeleze. Na nataka mnisikize vizuri. Hapa vile vile. Tayari. Tumekwisha weka mpango ya 6 billion. Ili hawa mama mboga. Na hawa watu makanga. Na hawa vinyozi. Na wale wabeba. Sasa hawa wote wataweza kukopa deni ya serikali bila interest. Sijui kama tunaelewana. Mimi nitazungumza na huyo mjumbe wenu. Hii barabara ya kutoka hapa Kiamo kama kwenda paka hapo Kianya Vinge, kwenda paka Getaurio, huyo contractor alikuwa ni Mkora. Sasa nitaleta contractor mwingine. Na mimi nataka niwaambie hivi, falsehoods, misconceptions and half-truths will not have an opportunity in the Kenya that we seek to be. Ni kweli si kweli? Zakayo ashuke asishuke? Ashuke asishuke?
To that, because remember, there are some young voices that popped up in the early stages of the movement, and they tried to form a political formation, and we banished them. We killed those people and chased them out of the movement, a movement that prides itself in democracy. So we were not being honest about that. And I remember saying that at a particular point, we will have to seek political solutions. The problem I have, and the problem why I need to call all of us to honesty, there is no problem if people align themselves with Kalonzo Musyoka. There's no problem if people align themselves with Eugene Wamalwa. There's no problem if you align yourself, heck, with Rigathi Gachagua. But there is a huge problem to the point where people are going to call me a traitor for aligning myself with the party that fought for the constitution that we base all our decent arguments upon. I think that is rather unfair, and I think when we level that question, it is cheapening and saying that the youth in the ODM Youth League that I come from are not youth enough, that they are traitors. Are we going to accuse those same youth for the corruption? Are we going to say that they were not on the streets? Only people who I betrayed are tribalists. The only people who I betrayed are people who think that some people's sole purpose is to go to the front lines and die while other people enjoy the spoils of war. And the only other people who I betrayed are the people who believe in the business of grant writing, in the business of protesting, perpetual protests without the sight of change in mind. And speaking of which, part of the people I betrayed are you hosted one of them, and one of them actually here on your show made fun of my mental health. This is a person who stole money that was meant for mobilization. This is a person who, and I'm ready to prove this. I wish that she'll file a lawsuit after this statement. She stole money that we had meant for mobilization for the people. If we are going to do this, those are the kind of people I betrayed. I betrayed career activists. I betrayed people who believe that our core function is to take the children of the working poor to the front lines while we lounge in hotels and cafes while sipping coffee and waiting for the 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock prime time news so that we can come and elucidate and speak ever so flowery English while the children of the working poor are dead. The people I betrayed believe in us going to protest without a clear end in mind and having innocent children shot. And all we do is drape flags over their coffins and send their parents 10,000 shillings and chant revolutionary songs and chant down with the current regime down. The people I betrayed are the people who by day they chant down with American imperialism, by night they are seeking audience with the American embassy. The people I betrayed chanted down with Meg Whitman down and in the evening wanted to have dinner at her residence. The people I betrayed are equally selfish people, and I keep on saying this, that we have to be truly honest about our left, because our left is just as rotten as the right. It's just as corrupt as the right, and there are several issues which we need to unpack, because there are very many people, many a young Kenyan who went to the street with an honest believing in this righteous and just cause that we were for. And so I cannot answer to those people. Those people who think that I betray them do not have any of my sympathies. They do not have any of my remorse, because I said, I speak as a person who donated my life to the struggle. This is no joke. I was not tweeting from my home. I came back to the media. I came to the media stations and I was at the front lines. I gave my life to the struggle. So I know what it feels like to be a frontliner. And if we reduce this conversation to the whimsical claims and the whimsical ramblings of random users on social media, I think it is rather strange. I made a very conscious and public decision to join the largest progressive pro-people party, according to my analysis, at existence at that time, which is the Orange Democratic Movement Youth League. And that's, I will stand by till the day I die. I'll pay whatever price it cost.